Ah! There it is. Hello. How are you all? There's no chat today. That's unfortunate. Maybe it'll work later. I'm back. Don't worry. Hi. Hello, Haley, Sand Becca, and Vio. See, okay, that's what I was thinking. The music seemed like it's not connected or something. Hold on, let's go back here. Do you hear the song playing? Or is it this? Ah! Are we normal again? Oh, yeah, for some reason my song was muted. Okay. We're good. Although I am trying to get some nice royalty-free music to play in the background. Because I can't really do my current soundtrack. Or my opening song. I mean, I guess I technically could. But there's that like minute to 2 minutes in the beginning that doesn't quite hit the vibe. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna turn you down quite a bit. Bring you back up. Alright. I'm gonna try to get... Obviously, this was not very planned, so I don't... Fuck. You know, I can't exit out of that window. Good to know. I just ate some stupid spicy ramen, so I apologize if you hear me sniffing. Good to see you. We're back. Okay, keep that open. I'm gonna try to get, believe it or not, the stream was not planned. So let me quickly go grab my maps and my other garbage so I can show you what I've got, what we're working with. I gotta tell you the general nature of my campaign before I start writing, because you'll be lost. Because I'm trying to write a town. My players are going to a town soon, and I need to get that town finished. So I've got some sketches to send of NPCs I've drawn. How are y'all doing? I hope we lost no matter what. Fair enough. I will be semi-quiet, just so you know. This will be a chill place to study, and oh, it's a bit loud. There you go. Okay. I have so many maps to export. Ugh. Well, I'll start with this one, and then I'll work on exporting the next one. If Ash comes in here, I'm gonna kill him. Oh, I already have one. Okay. I have many. Ooh, that'd be good to show you. I don't know how much I What? Can I not? Huh? Did I not move that to the right place? No, I did not. Dumb idiot. So here's the question. Do you all want to know absolutely everything about the world? Or do you want to know from a player's perspective? I'm going to kill Ash if he comes in here and sees spoilers for my campaign. Let me download this image. I wonder if I cannot export that kind of thing. Oh, I can. Okay. Free her to watch you playing. You should probably know everything. Okay. Everything. Gotcha. Ha-boom. Okay, hold on. Oh, it's so naked. It's so weird to look at this map this way. Sniff. That's... Anyway. So this is what the world looked like. No, my little plague. She needs to be in the forefront. Okay, so this is the map right now. Or, not right now. This is... Oh, I should be in the forefront. Get behind me. So this is the map before everything goes bad. All in all, made by 9 gods. Each god is representative of something. So, you know, there's the father of plants, the father of animals, the mother of man, the mother of monsters, and father of basically angels, mother of basically demons. There's the mother of the afterlife. I don't know if it's a father or a mother of elves, basically, but he's there. And then there's the 9th one, who's just called 9th, and hasn't done anything cool other than curse mortals to die. So this is what the world looked like before it got screwed up. And to show you what happens when gods are little dickheads, this is the map of the of the modern day world. So let's compare our main continents. Technically, there's, I think, 8 continents. Because you have Greater Azurke, which is this northern region. Oh, you can't see that. There's the green region, which is just Azurke. And then there's the desert region, which is Patar. But then we have Tehran over here. This little set of islands. And then over here, This got dissected a little bit more as mankind became prevalent. We have this top left section is Hysteria. Top right section is Xiaoya. Bottom left section is West Akira, and bottom right section is East Akira. Basically, what caused the planet to look like this was there's 9 gods. Technically, how do I even begin this? I have about 200 pages of just history, and then I have in-depth other documents for quests and garbage. There's a god named Sorenal, or just Soren. I forget. He's not really important anymore because he's dead. But he's the god and the creator and the father of quote-unquote the ones above / the Orphan, which are angel-like entities. Just kind of like beams of light, avatars. He made his civilization, his race, as actual pieces of him, and so when one dies, he's no longer fully whole. And he is like this justice and order figure, but like total order and total control, like Big Brother style, 1984. While his counterpart, his sister, which I forget her name because she's also not important. We're a little funky with this one. I should probably just like some of the ones that I do like. Okay. What am I trying to say? Basically, Mari, who is the mother of mankind, made humans, and they interacted with them, and at that time, Agri, who created plants, and Genu, who created animals, we're having a great time. And then Soren and I think it's Namikama, who created the Orphim and Erakul, respectively. Orphim have physical bodies and are personifications of order and justice, and then the Erakul are intangible bodies, more possession style, who are personifications of chaos and whatever. So it's rather good and evil, it's order and chaos, but pushed to the extremes. Neither one of them are good. And then there was another one, Jaravolig, who's the mother of the Nameless Things, because she just kind of mashed everybody else's garbage together and created 9-ish huge abominations of flesh and garbage. One of them, his name is Araki Tormus. He waged war on the planet for a while. The gods had to kill him. Their battle is evidence on the right map here. This mountain range on the right side is where he was flung into, and his body carved that groove into the planet. So he sits at the bottom of that. That mountain range is known as the world spine. But the creation myth is, yeah, he fought the gods and whatever, and made mountains and lakes and rivers from the evidence of the battle, whatever. And then mankind, humans specifically, saw all this happening, a whole bunch of gods, blah, blah, blah. They're like, okay, well, gods are tangible, within reach. I want to become my own god. And so they did a whole bunch of terrible, terrible things. Made pits of nasty flesh and acid and melted themselves and were disgusting, and worshipped human sacrifice, basically, because they thought that was the way to get closer to the gods. And unfortunately, to the gods' point of view, I don't have any drawings of the characters yet. I do of the actual campaign. Unfortunately, to the gods' point of view, in that pit of nastiness and bile and flesh and blood, blah, 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 something stared back at them. And so some form of life began to actually churn without any of the gods' creation or hand in it. And so they were scared, and they killed humanity. Straight up killed every single human. And Mari kind of retreated for a while. Oh, and Jerivola got sentenced into a different, like an afterlife thing. That's when the 3 afterlives were made. One of them is explicitly a prison for Jerivola. And so Mari left for a while. Zol made his elves. And then after a while, Mari came back and didn't want humans to become so powerful again. And so she split like their most defining features into multiple different races. So she made the Dramen, who are crafty and innovative people. She made the Nelmen, who are more intelligent, more philosophical. And then she made the Gristlemen, who are stronger, sturdier, better. And then spread them throughout the planet so they don't interact with each other. At least not for a while. And then Soren gave them tomes. Get out of here. I don't want lyrics. Soren gave them tomes, said, hey, don't ever participate in anything that involves blood. Or like blood magic or stuff like that. Because that's what they thought summoned that monster in the blood, which is what he's officially called. So mankind does its thing. They grow. They populate themselves. And eventually, over in the bottom right, that's where the Nelmen were placed. And there's an island called, I think it's just was called Blood Rock. Very trope names, I know. There's a reason for that. But they found a pool of Arakitormus's blood, and were intrigued by it. They knew they shouldn't have gone to it, as given the tomes of Sorinal. So everyone knows that the gods are real. And they worship and study the pool of blood anyway. And so, as they're studying that, their devotion creates another little small god. Except humanity was so spread out at that point that the gods weren't really focusing on this tiny little group, because the gods are not omnipotent, not all powerful, and not all present. And so they accidentally spawned a god, and his name is Nezumak. This isn't long before I started streaming. Nezumak is the god of blood, hunger, anger, fury, obsession, and rats. Because I like rats. So Nezumak was born, got himself some protection. Couldn't be killed by the gods at that moment until he made a physical body. He mutated the Nelmen, turned them into Nerizik, which is a new race of half rat, half human people. And they're all super priests of blood magic, basically. All in all, a whole bunch of things happen. Yeah, quite canonical, rat god. Basically, 900 years later, mankind had developed and started meeting each other. The Gristlemen knew the Dramen. The Nelmen had conquered the rest of the right continent because the Gristlemen were in the bottom right in Patar, the dry lands. And they met with the Dramen there. Nations had been formed, countries and walls and wars have already been fought, and everyone started culminating into one big war because people want land, people are prideful, people are stupid. Are the half rat, half humans big or small? They are big. They're about 6 to 7 feet tall. They are chunky. Well, typically the high priests are the 6 to 7 feet tall. The rest of them are like 4 or 5 feet tall. Kind of. There's a whole bunch of substrains between them because there's one Nerizik called Kursai, and he was the first Nerizik. His name was Nakaza. Nakaza is known as the firstborn of Nezumak, and he's immortal for reasons people don't understand. In reality, it's just That's where Nezumok's power is strongest in. So, Nakaza wants to spread Nezumok. He wants conquest because he's obsessive and he's rageful. Traits of Nezumok. But technically, Nezumok was spawned out of those traits. And so he's just the god of what created him. But Nakaza had another high priest. His name was Kursai. Kursai was a scientist and mutated the other Narazik. So he made the Narazik have wings or gills to swim, or multiple limbs, and made them stronger, made them mutated. They were awful looking. You could not call them human nor rat. Those who witnessed them called them Corellians. I forget what the other word was that I used to mash that together, but the other root word is Hellion, because they're just shitty little dudes running around destroying things. But anyway, over in Azurke, that green country area, to the left continent, there was a place called Branchwood. It was a Draman town. That's where 4 different armies collided, had war with each other, and there was a bloodshed and constant warfare, blah blah blah, enough that Nezumok was willfully or unwillfully drawn to that. And so he assumed a physical form. Sorinal took his opportunity, and the two of them basically killed each other over top of this battlefield. Both of their bodies plummeted into the ground and shattered the world. So that's why you see over here. Let me really zoom in on that. Over here, in the dead center, we have Branchwood. That's the impact site. It sent ripples and shattered the rest of the planet. And so you have all this going through this main center. And then you also have down here where it reciprocated on the other side. Because this is on the other side of the globe. And so down here shattered a lot. And also created new terrain figures. Because these islands were not as prevalent. All this stuff wasn't there. A lot of this got shattered. You'll also probably notice that there is a Tower of Sin over here, and there's not one over here. I went somewhere. There we go. So now we find ourselves about 300 and something years later. Do they like to cuddle? Probably not. At that point, when they attacked, Nakaza had tried to launch a war against many points using pools of ruin, as he called them, which are just basically pools of blood that he can teleport to. But he does need that portal. So now we find ourselves, my main campaign, where my family's at, is in this section. In the dead center of our screen right here. Let me get the map. I need so many maps, man. Export. That's exported. I might as well. No, okay, I already have the other one I need. Okay, we should be good. I think I have all the maps I need. There we go. So this section right here is this little piece right here. Right? We've got that in mind. Kind of fits pretty cool. It's almost as if I use that map as a guide. And technically there's a straight running through here, but I can't really depict that on the actual thing. And so if we remove this one. Hey, it's me again. Right here. This is the nation that the campaign takes place in. Kingdom of Ilan. Ilan was a really cool lady over back during the... It's called the Bloodfall, by the way. When Nuzlocke and Soren fell to the ground and shattered the planet. It's called the Bloodfall in the Western continent. It's called the Day of Birth on the Eastern continent because they have two different myths on that. The Kingdom of Ilan is what we're looking at right now. Specifically, I need to get another one. There it is. So this map you can probably already see where it's starting to be. Is right here. Right? Oh, it fits so perfectly. You could never tell. Okay. So the entire 30-something of a recession so far has taken place on this map. Because they started in a little town, and you can't see it because it's not labeled on here because it's just a village. You have that little center town, right? You go up a little bit along that path, you take a left about 3 days, there's a little village called Landwood. Landwood's great, we love Landwood. That's cute, that's where they killed a vampire, that was their starter quest. They left. This music's weird. Not weird, but it's not the vibe. I just typed in fantasy, and now it's just giving me everything that has to do with fantasy. What about this? Absolutely not. And they went up. They went to Tor and the Shrine of Taurus. Taurus is a god according to the Stoicism myth or religion. And then they went up from there to this town that meets that black wall. That's called the Ember Wall. This map predates the server as well, so I can't say anything on that end. But that meets the Ember Wall, and that town is called Emberhold. Emberhold's great, because that's where we're kind of at right now in the campaign. So we've gone about from the edge of the road on the Lake Taurus up to that point. Technically, they've also gone to that far right city, but they've come back. And so now's the time that I can bring in my sketches and tell you what the campaign's been all about so far. They got to Emberhold, and it's a failed town. I'm doing a lot of things right now, hold on. Make that go away. What the spooky's going on here? Give me a playlist, bro. Can I do a mood? Dreamy. Or peaceful. I'm feeling peaceful. No, I think I'm feeling dreamy. Okay. So they got to Emberhold. Emberhold's a failed town because just north of it is the Ember Wall. And so to go into Southern Eilon, there's only 2 points that you can pass to the Ember Wall. And the Ember Wall is a 20-ish foot tall wall of smoldering rock. It was originally meant to keep out the people of Dreglin from the people of Raikiwi. Because the people of Raikiwi were fed up with Dreglin politics and they just separated themselves completely. And so now it's just kind of this wall that runs through multiple countries. So there's only 2 gates in it. One's Emberhold and one's Tiersay. But there was a forest above Emberhold's gate called the Blatewood. And about 14 years ago, technically this is unknown, but there was an attack on the Blatewood from the Harrison dynasty, which is across the way to the west. Because they made a deal with the Holy Sarah Empire, which is in the middle of the map. Because the Holy Sarah Empire is at war with the Kingdom of Eilon. And the Harrison dynasty is at war with the New Raikiwan Empire. So the Harrison dynasty is asking the Holy Sarah Empire for assistance against the New Raikiwan Empire, and in return to help them against the Kingdom of Eilon. And so the Harrison dynasty plagued the Blatewood, made it mutated, made it very dangerous, made it bad. You can no longer really travel across the forest safely. And so that brought a whole bunch of economic downfall in Emberhold, where they were just booming and trying to become a city previously. So most of the outside districts are empty. People have moved away. People don't like the place anymore. And when that happened, the Lord deleted himself from this world and passed on to his 12-year-old daughter. The Lady Amelia Baycaster is her name. And she got assistance from the town's maester and was raised that way. She grew up learning languages, learning the geopolitical state of Southern Eilon, absolutely dedicating herself to this town so that she can resuscitate it back to life. And so I have her image. I know I'm gonna see every imperfection with this drawing as soon as I put it on here. Yeah, she has completely taken attire inspiration from Lady Maria of Bloodborne. Hey, your head's kind of big. There we go. So this is the Lady Amelia. And so in order to get rid of the now violent criminals that have moved into Emberhold and the outskirts of it, because she can't really defend the outskirts, she has gained foreign aid from the Harrison dynasty, because they don't know that the Harrison dynasty is helping the Holy Sarah Empire. And so she's hired an artist, and artists are wizards basically, because the magic is called the derelict, and using the derelict is called an art. So she's enlisted the assistance of a artist named Moskin, in which I have his portrait as well. Moskin's a little shithead. And he's sideways. Let's see. Can I turn you? Look at this little guy. Transform. Rotate 90 degrees. There we go. So that's Moskin. He's a little shithead. He's a necromancer technically. He just summons a whole bunch of ghosts because his mentor is one of the Harrison Dynasty's top-rated artists, and he summons ghosts as like a commander on a battlefield. And so he has a whole bunch of lieutenants. And Moskin's one of them. So he's going there to remove this place of violent criminals. Lots of glasses. Glasses is a sign of wealth and power. In order to afford glasses, you need to be able to... In order to afford glasses, you need to make a lot of money. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. If you see someone with glasses, they're of high status. Specifically with Moskin, he's just a little loser. He's got his bubble glasses. But the Lady Amelia was more so for the fact that she does have a flaw. Because she has this very, like... Technically, when I was doing her character design, I was like, oh, she grew up at a young age. You know, she was 12 and learned all this stuff, and she seems perfect. But I was like, how do I give the most common flaw? And I was like, bad eyesight. Boom, glasses. But it's also a pretty good signal of her having a decent amount of wealth, even though she's sold off everything else that's in her home in order to keep Emberhold afloat. So I wanted her just to be, you know, have that. Moskin's just got his little war goggles. He kind of reminds me of the guy from Tinkerbell. The, like, sub-sect movies, but they have the bubbles. I'm in the bottom again. There we go. But yes, I love Lady Amelia. She's great. She's girl boss. Status in itself, or signal of wealth, or both. It's kind of both. A lot of the time, it's you either work your way up through a lineage or finding some kind of resource and capitalizing on it and selling it, and then you are promoted up into this hierarchy to the system of power because you're owning land, and if you own land, then you're set. Technically, they do come from two different nations, though, because Lady Amelia is from the Kingdom of Eilon, while Moskin's from the Harrison Dynasty. But for Ameliel's case, it is... It's more of a sign of status for her. Emberhold's not wealthy anymore. Do you mean Clang from Tinkerbell? I think so. Moskin, his goggles, and he also has a dagger, which has a gold vein imprint of the veins on his wrist. Those are graduation gifts from Drew Rawl, commander of the Ghost Army, whatever. I forget his actual name. But those are actual true symbols of status. Moskin is very poor, but has his glasses because of that. Emilio serves multiple purposes. So the players got there, and they're like, man, this place sucks doo-doo caca. And I think they were gonna leave, but then they were like, oh, wow, why are there no merchants coming through? Blah, 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 blah. Eventually, they learned that there was a trade block. And along the road, let me bring that map back up. No, not me. You see in the top, I should have left my city labels on here. In the top, where that black dotted line meets that far most left town, that's Emberhold. And from that town to the town immediately to the right, there's a wall in the center of there. That's a outpost that's meant to deter armies from marching through. Because if we look to the absolute left of the map, we see that yellow dotted line. That is the country border with the Holy Sarah Empire. And so in order to get to the northern end of Eilon, they need to either come through Emberhold or they need to come through Tiersay, which is that town that goes all the way to the far right. So when the Blatewood happened and colloquially became known as the Deadwood, they were like, well, we don't really need to defend ourselves from Emberhold anymore, so they built that wall, the trade post wall, between that town and Emberhold, meant to just deter armies. And so some group of bandits, basically calling themselves the Avengers of Ermac, hold up in that outpost and stopped anybody from coming through. And that's because over in Cobblestand, which is that other town in the middle there along the Amber Wall, Cobblestand's a dying town because they were supposed to be known as Gold Stand because there was yellow veins within like the swamp there. And so whoever set up there was like, oh, there's gold beneath this swamp, I'm gonna mine it. So they tried and they dug and they found nothing, eventually finding out that it was the type of clay that was within that swamp. So then they excavated the clay instead. That's how Cobblestone was made. Cobblestone's foundations begin to shift and crack because they were moving the clay. And so they started to build a pillar of cobblestones for the town to rest on. So as time goes on, eventually Cobblestone looks like this sphere that has a valley that goes in like a sinkhole, but then rises up in the middle again with a small mountain of cobblestones with a giant stone disc sitting on top of that, with Cobblestone on top of that, and then two bridges east and west connecting to that stone disc crossing that valley. Cobblestone has since completely depleted its clay deposit, and everyone is starving. There's no money coming in. The Lord Kenway is trying to get some kind of assistance brought in. He doesn't want to lose the town because he doesn't want to be the Cobblestone Lord to destroy the town. So he's kind of prideful in that and not letting that fall. And so the players decided, hey, we're going to go talk to these people in the trade post. They did. And then they were like, yeah, the Lord of Cobblestone is working his people to the bone, and they're dying, and they're moving away. He's bad. You got to get these people out, you know. So they blocked off the trade post in order to get attention sent to Cobblestone so that the government, like the major government, would go and fix it. And so Lady Ameliel, who's trying to take any opportunity to push Emberhold up a little higher, is saying like, okay, I got to get an adventuring party on this. I got to get them fixing this so that I can say I'm the one who saved Cobblestone. I'm the one who freed up this trade port because she's doing whatever it can. That sounds very cool looking, but I unfortunately cannot visualize it because I'm stupid. No. I'll perhaps make a drawing of it eventually. Basically, imagine a big bowl, and in the center of that bowl is a little mountain of big old rocks. And on that mountain of rocks is a disc, and on that disc is a town. And connecting that town and that disc to the edge of the bowl is two bridges. So Emilio gets the party. No, the party goes and looks at the trade post. The trade post people say, yeah, Cobblestone sucks. I want to get my people out of there or fix the town. The players then go back to Lady Emiliel saying, hey, this is happening. What do you want us to do? And Lady Emiliel, having any opportunity to make Emberhold greater and bring down the trade wall so that they can get an economy again, she's like, wouldn't it be a terrible thing if just the Lord Kenway was assassinated by a foreign envoy? Basically telling the party to use Moskin to kill Lord Kenway. So they go over to Cobblestone, they investigate it. Everyone's been poor for a while, everyone's tired. They also have a tie to Cobblestone though, and they don't want to let it go. And so my party decided that they're going to destroy Cobblestone, and so that they have no choice but to go, because Lady Meliel also said, hey, I can host these people. I have a whole bunch of empty room. I can host these people. The Avengers of Ermac, they can come work for me. They can go and be my militia and get the rest of these criminals out here. So it's a win-win situation. Emiliel gets the credit for freeing up this trade route. The people of Cobblestone get to live in an actual town that's not dying. Lady Mel also gets a better garrison and military throughout her town. Everything's great. Now the deficit is, you know, you're choosing to hurt another town, obviously, but also Tiersay, the one on the far right, the other gate town, will also begin to suffer from economic growth if Emberhold does well again. That's a whole shebang that they'll get into eventually. So there was a pillar. They investigated. They talked to Kenway. And my players talked to Kenway and said, hey, we want to get your people out of here. Will you help us? And he's like, no, I can't do that. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to let this town break. They sneak into his office. They find some letters. He's been contacting a whole bunch of other towns to save his town. Nobody else can. There's one person who responds, and it's from an extra international? It's from a different nation. It's not even from no, it is from a nation. It's from a country called Yozan. And Yozan works with the new Requiem Empire by providing them with, for lack of a better term, slaves. They're slavers. The entire country of Yozan is, because it's a very anarchical society. It's basically a bunch of mercenaries. Terrible people. The entire country is awful. And so when they see that they're working with Yozan, they're like, this is a problem. You can't bring this into the Kingdom of Ilan. You're going to sell your people into this horrible deal. And so Kenway needs to go. So they poison Kenway. But then Kenway's butler and my childhood friend comes in and says, hey, I can get these people out. I can save... I can get everyone out of Cobblestone. If you need to destroy it, I'm going to take Kenway. We're going to go. We'll leave Cobblestone. I don't want any of this to happen. They make that deal after they poison Kenway. Kenway takes 3 days to die from that poison. And they take the deal. So they lie, or they're deceptive about what they just did to Kenway in order to get this butler's assistance. And they do. They know that there's a pillar beneath Cobblestone, that if they break the pillar, the mountain of cobblestones will fade apart and the entire town will be destroyed. And so they do that. They get all the people out, they destroy the town, and then they go meet with Ermac's Avengers again. And that's where we are in the campaign now-ish. They just brought them back into Emberhold. That's when the session ended last on Monday. One of my players went over to Tiersay with Moskin, this little loser. There he is. Because they were going to have a meeting with those slavers. Kenway was going to have a meeting with those slavers to talk about what they were going to do with Cobblestone. And so they wanted to talk to them instead. So they went, ventured into the town. I didn't have the town fully written by then, because each town typically takes a while. They went and had their conversation with this guy, this ambassador of a bigger nation or whatever. Wait, so are they destroying the town or saving it? Yeah, they're saving the people and destroying the town. They took all the people out of the town and then they destroyed it. And then basically the slaver guy said, yeah, over in Yozan, the last group or clan that is in charge of Yozan was just killed by some guy named Darawil, the Kinslayer or whatever. And that Darawil's a big bad guy, and we are afraid of him, basically, and we're trying to get away from him. And he's saying, yeah, I think Darawil's going to be the first domino to hit this major line of events that's going to start the second Bloodfall. Because the last Bloodfall started when all nations at war with each other started to bring out their super weapons and everything got awful and bloody. And so right now the new Rykuan Empire is at war with the Harrison Dynasty, who Yozan is helping them. The Holy Sarah Empire is at war with Ilan and their allies, the New Democracy of Malganti and the People's Republic of Greater Azrike are helping them. But then the New Democracy of Malganti is at civil war with itself, and the Harrison Dynasty is helping the Holy Sarah Empire against the Kingdom of Ilan, and the Holy Sarah Empire is helping them with the new Rykuan Empire. It's a lot. There's a lot of war happening right now. And so Darrow entering this position of power is this stone, the straw that broke the camel's back. He's going to cause Yozan to fall apart and crumble, which means the new Rykuan Empire will have no extra assistance. So it's going to be them versus the Holy Sarah Empire and the Harrison Dynasty. So they're going to fall apart, which then means the Harrison Dynasty is going to fight the Kingdom of Ilan, and they're going to be obliterated, which means other people are going to be killed or whatever. So a whole bunch of a series of events are about to happen. And it's going to be terrible. And that's all because Darwell usurped the last king of Yozan. And so this slaver guy they met with is like saying, yeah, all this is about to happen. Darwell's going to cause this chain of reaction. The gods are choosing their champions. Get away from the impact site. And the impact site, if we remember... was that? So if we look at this map here, I wish I had... Oh wait, do I still have my circle? That's a lot of words. That is a lot of words. Trust me, there's a lot, yeah. So much bloodshed. Yeah. It's a tough world. Soraya is the name of the world. Soraya is a very tough world. Here we go. Alright. My circle. I'm too tired to focus on this. Don't worry. I would say don't worry. I'm going to just get into town writing later. But later is now. I'm going to have to end this soon. So right now, this is the Kingdom of Ilan, right? This is where the entire campaign happens. Specifically, this is where the entire campaign is happening right now. And so, over here, that's Yozan. Or that's Yozan. I don't remember. This is the Harrison Dynasty. Oh, the Kingdom of Elun is right here too. This is the Harrison Dynasty. They're at war with the new Rykuan Empire, which is this. And so the Holy Sarah Empire... Oh, something's moving back there. My circle. So the Holy Sarah Empire, which is right here. Okay. Oh, shit. Which is right here. They're at war with the Kingdom of Ilan. This is the New Democracy of Malganti. They're at a civil war with each other, with the top island and the bottom island fighting. This is the People's Republic of Greater Azrike. They're pretty chill and cool, but they're too poor to do anything. So it's really just the Kingdom of Ilan fighting the Holy Sarah Empire. And then the Harrison Dynasty fighting the new Rykuan Empire with help from Yozan. So if Yozan leaves, then the Harrison Dynasty with the Holy Sarah Empire is going to kill the new Rykuan Empire. So then these two are going to team up against the Kingdom of Ilan because they can't be defended because they're at war with each other and they're too poor. And then the Kingdom of Elun is doing nothing because they're total pacifists. Technically, there's people down here that everyone is in talks with right here. I forget the country name because they're not relevant right now. There's a country here, and there's a country here. They're all doing nothing. Technically, there's stuff over here. There's 3 towns over. Hello, Lady Amelia. There's 3 towns over here. That's because these people went ahead and went to the east. This is a cool map. How'd you make it? I made it through Incarnate. I love Incarnate. That's my #1 map making tool. And they have a whole bunch of cool options. Oh, and this is the Gnomon Society from forever ago, because it fell on itself when another one of the nameless things, the Necrobriar, destroyed it, basically. And then there's another failed civilization here, and another one here, because this is where the day of birth happened. So there's a nation here, 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 but none of that's relevant because we're only talking about people over here. So all in all, what I need to write is Tiersay. I have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Hello. I have a whole bunch of stuff over there, because that's going to be the next quest. They're kind of finishing up the Emberhold quest. They're going to get Lady Amelia to give them patronage and give them gold every month or so in order to go do stuff. And there might be a couple more quests, side quests that they do in Emberhold. And maybe in the Blatewood, I don't know. But after that, I know they're going to Tiersay, and I'm going to need to finish that quest and finish making that town. I've been making maps here recently. I've just used the Rice method, digitalizing it with AI and then editing in Paint. I have spent a stupid amount of time studying geography. I took a class in college specifically for geography, just so I would know how nations and like where nation lines came up and were born, and where culture lies, and how that can affect boundaries and stuff. And then I also love plate tectonics and how they make mountains and lakes and rivers and all this fun stuff. I have studied the dummy out of map making for the sake of that. I have a tectonic plate map of my world as well. So I like which plates are which and what directions they move, just for the sake of making the right kind of mountain. And that's just because I love it. It's way too insane for actually making a map, but I swear that map was pretty damn accurate for how a map can be. But the Rice method is a very good way of making a detailed outline of a country and whatnot. I think I did dice before, way back when I made one of my first worlds. But then I'm just stupid about my details. Who gave them gold, did you say? Nobody's given them gold yet, but Lady Amelia will give them the gold because they're going to be working in partnership. So right now, what I have going on for Tiersay is that I'm trying to have the Night Hand, who is a drug cartel mafia thing, being like the surface villain in the surface quest, and they're gonna have to like figure out where their hideout is and find out who's in control of all these things, and it's corruption, and like they're in working with the wharf master of the town, so there's like government corruption and politics going on there. But then I want a subsurface quest of someone greater, some big threat that is utilizing the Night Hand and utilizing this wharf master to cause a distraction for them to do what they want to do. So there's someone called Ancilla, or she's been given the name of Ancilla, from a entity called Kreddle. And Kreddle, if we remember from the beginning of the stream, is one of the, well, Jaravolig, the mother of nameless things, created 9 nameless things in the beginning before she was sealed away. And technically, during the Bloodfall, she broke out. and is making a whole bunch of other dumb little nameless things now. Not as big as the original 9, but they're there. Kredel's one of them, and Kredel is a crystal beneath a mountain range. He doesn't have an actual body. He's very telepathic, telekinetic. And one thing about the nameless things is that they have the flesh and they have the intelligence, though they don't have, because they weren't specifically created by a god, they were mashed together with other things, they don't have souls. And so each nameless thing is trying to rip the soul out of the other living things of the world. So Kredel is this crystal, and the people of the mountain range mind it, thinking it's just a crystal. They placed him into a crown because it's really pretty. It's kind of Arkenstone style with... This is a dumb song. It's Arkenstone style from The Hobbit. But they placed him into a crown, and that crown began to siphon away the life of whoever was wearing it. And so whoever would don the crown next would hear the voices of everyone else who had previously been sucked into Kredel. And so Kredel eventually began to consume the entirety of the town that was sitting upon his deposit. And he became known as the White King of Windfall, because Windfall was the town that was on him. But because he's a crystal, he can't go anywhere. And right now he's feeling, this is all stuff the players don't know, he's feeling someone trying to call out to the original 9. Some person is somehow communing with nameless things, because they can't speak most of the time. They're very low intelligence most of the time. Kredel's an exception. And so he's trying to see, like, hey, what's this dumbass doing? Because the original 9 nameless things are beasts of the apocalypse. Araki Tormus is one of the 9. He carved the world in his battle, and it took like 4 gods to kill him. Kind of, he's not dead. And so he's like, this dumbass. And so he has infected one lady, given her a name called Ancilla, and she thinks that she's communing with a god. And she's got a little piece of Kredel and a staff that she's using as her arcane focus, so to speak. And he's whispering to her, telling her what to do, because he wants her to destroy Tiersay and be a big enough threat to send what's called a Keeper Warden. And a Keeper Warden is like a super high-ranking military priest under the Astoricism religion, and the Astoricism religion is the official religion of the Kingdom of Eilon. So they get dispatched to go kill the blood artists. And so blood arts is still forbidden because of the Bloodfall, and because there was a lady called the Bloody Queen of Maganda, and she wiped out a lot of people. So the Keeper Wardens go and kill anyone who has blood arts. So for them to do anything else is difficult. So Kredel chose Tiersay because it's a new upcoming town. It's rising. Its economic growth is being watched. And he's choosing it because it's far away from the battlefront. Right now, the Kingdom of Eilon cannot spare the forces to go defend Tiersay. But it's also not something that's in harm's way right now, just due to its location. So to send a Keeper Warden against a single target is a lot more effective than dispatching the army. So right now, Kredel is whispering to her and giving her the abilities of telepathy and telekinesis and stuff like that. And she is using the crypts beneath, and the catacombs beneath Tiersay to animate, so to speak, the skeletons of everyone who's buried there and raise them, quote unquote. When it's not actually raising them, it's not actually summoning zombies and skeletons, it's just animating the bones in a way that makes it look like a human. So that way a Keeper Warden gets dispatched, and that way Kredel can kill the Keeper Warden and use the Keeper Warden's body as his new vessel to go investigate this other signal. And so now I'm at the point where I don't know how to write that. I'm like, well, where do I want this to get to? Where do I want the line to be drawn? Do I want my players to stop Ancilla before? Oh, I have a picture of Ancilla. Or a picture of what she will be. Because they're going to fight her eventually. And as she floats up and flies, and armor is going to be summoned around her, and that's Kretel himself, and there's going to be a shroud that falls upon her face, and it just reveals a, like, where the shroud is supposed to fall into a face and, like, have the image of someone's face beneath it, it's only going to have the image of, like, a skull beneath it, because, oh, spooky nameless thing, I need to have something that looks like a necromancer. But yes, I'm trying to make another trope of, oh, the necromancers in the town raising the dead. I like to hit tropes, and I like to do cool tropes. Not cool tropes, I like to make tropes better. And so I like to put a little... Oh, hey! The necromancer! So this is technically Ancilla, but as she is shrouded with Kretel's armor, she begins to look a little more masculine, don his image instead. He's got the crown because of the crown of Windfall, and in like a weird pattern of clothes and shrouds, just because that's his culture that he found in Windfall. And then they're probably going to team up with a cop, with a guard. A sentinel is what they're called technically. Sentinel who controls sentries. And let's get her. She is what's called a... hold on, I gotta spell. She's what's called a Valman, because there's two more species, or subspecies of mankind. Notice how there's no more humans. And so a Valman is someone, is a Draman. Before the Bloodfall happened, Vals were created, V-A-L, and those are just the substitutes for potions. And so some people use potions so much that they made a little hook onto your belt that would have like a place for a Val to be placed into it, and tubes would go directly into your veins and your arteries to feed the Val directly into your bloodstream. And so people who use that way too much and had kids that way had kids who had derelict dependencies. And so these children would then have to be fitted with these same like Val registers, kind of like how like an insulin pump, but more intense. And so these children had to be equipped with these because they would die without them, and it came to the point where they were almost like their own species. And so now they're just called Valmen. Some Valmen have an excess of derelict around them, and that causes weird mutations to happen in them. Wings, like a fun little drug addiction, exactly. Magic drug addiction. Some people have wings or like scaly skin or horns or weird stuff that are done to that specific person and is not a... What the hell? Something just flashed behind me. And so it's not a genetic thing, it's just a random derelict mutation. And so this person is one of those. Oh, it's Thunder. And she also needs to be transformed, rotated. There we go. This is a Draman lady. She's gonna be the cop that they probably work with. So I need to draw the other cops that they're going to be working with. But yes, there's a habit I have, is I hate... How do I really put this? One thing I didn't like about D&D was it was super, super high fantasy, and I like a lower fantasy aesthetic. And so I just made everyone basically humans. Just because it got too... I don't even know. It got in the way. I just wanted to focus on story and for my players. Oh, her eye is much higher than it should be. I'm just now noticing that. Her left eye is stupid high. Get out of here, girl. But yeah. I have a disdain for attractive things. And like everyone spamming a tiefling or a Yanti or an Azamar or stuff like that. It's a stupid thing of me, I know. So I was like, I'm just gonna level the playing field and just make everything a human, which is the direct opposite of my sci-fi world. Because I was like, well, in a sci-fi world with aliens, it's dumb to play human. And so I made 17 races that are playable for my system. Of all ugly looking aliens. And that was fun. But yeah, that's why she's got horns. And I wanted a little something weird, haha, funny to happen. I don't really know where I was going with this. But yeah, my intention today was to write the town, write Tiersay. But I don't have time anymore. Because I have to do some things before I start the Ghost of Tsushima stream. But yeah, okay. That'll be our look back. Or hey, go watch the first video. There's the lore right now. Get caught up. So I'm gonna be back. Goodbye, friends. Thanks for listening to me yap about my lore. I'm sure next time will be an actual lore video. Not a lore video, a writing video. Which will probably happen pretty soon. Because I need to write. I'll see you in 40 minutes. Goodbye. Goodbye.